Hello everyone. In this video we are going to see new criticism. So what is new criticism? Insisted on the intrinsic value of a work of art and focused attention on the individual work alone. So they have given much importance to individual work. So they have concentrated on every individual work. So they did not do the work randomly, but they have concentrated on the individual work. Close analytic reading of the text. So when they are analyzing or when they are about to criticize a work, they will do a close reading of that particular text. Then only they will be able to express all the minute points which are to be noted regarding that text. So they will do a close analytic reading of the text. Technique as old as Aristotle's Poetics. So when we take this technique is much older than much older like Aristotle's Poetics. So it is an older technique. I.E. Richards, Practical Criticism, 1929, and William Emerson, Seven Types of Ambiguity, 1930. So, I.A. Richards had written a work titled Practical Criticism, which was published in 1929, and William Emerson, he had written a work titled Seven Types of Ambiguity, which was published in 1930. So when you read these two works, you will get to know what new criticism is and how we will apply those criticisms in the works which we study. Okay, so you will get a clear-cut idea when you read these two works. So these are all these two are the most famous works in order to get a clear idea regarding new criticism. The movement did not have a name, John Crow. So when the movement was started, that is when the new criticism had its origin, it had no name. Only after John Crow it was named. So new criticism was named after John Crow. So this is an important point which will be useful for those who are preparing for NET or SLET. So the prominent writers, those who are to be included regarding the writers, those who have followed the technique new criticism are Glenn Brooks, R.P. Blackmore, Robert Penn Warren, and W.K. Wimsatt Jr. So they are all the prominent writers, those who have adopted the technique of new criticism. Dominant mode of Anglo-American literary criticism by the 1970s. So, during the time of during the time of origin of new criticism, there was another movement, Anglo-American literary criticism. So, this new criticism acted as a dominant mode for this criticism by the year of 1970s. And then this one is a formalist movement. Okay. I hope you are all aware of what formalist movement is. Advocated by a group of academics writing in the first half of the 20th century. So, during the first half of the 20th century, there will be a group of academic writing. So, there will be a person who is advocating those writers. Okay. This was the famous thing which had happened during the first half of the 20th century. Intentional fallacy, affective fallacy, hearsay of paraphrase, and ambiguity. So these are all the four terms which we should remember regarding a new criticism. Okay. Poetry, a means of communicating feeling and thought that could not be expressed in any other kind of language. So what is the main subject matter when you write poetry? When you have some kind of feelings, you would express that feeling only through poetry. So we do not find any other means of communication in order to express your thoughts. So poetry is the only source to communicate our feelings and thoughts. Okay, text is an isolated entity. So we will not have to compare text with anything. So text is an independent one, so it need not to depend on anything. So text is an isolated entity. Close reading is the hallmark of new criticism. As I have already told, the new critics, that is the persons those who are criticizing a work using new criticism, they will do a close analytic reading of the text. So this close reading is the hallmark of new criticism. So I have already told intentional fallacy, affective fallacy and all. So what intentional fallacy is? Intentional fallacy is when one confuses the meaning of a work with the author's purported attention. So when the author is writing a particular work, definitely he will have some kind of intention while he is writing that work. So we will confuse that intention along with the meaning of that work. So the meaning will be different and the author's intention will be different. So we will confuse both the things. That is what intentional fallacy is. That is, we will have a confusion among the intention. Okay, and then affective fallacy. Interpreting texts according to the psychological or emotional responses of readers, confusing the text with its results. So, we will have a text. Okay, after reading that text, we will have some kind of emotions. So, we will confuse the text with the emotions which we get after reading that. So, the way in which the work affects us. So, it is named as affective fallacy. So, we will confuse the text with our emotions which has come out of reading that text. Okay. Next, now we are going to see formalism. What formalism is? Formalism. We have two types of formalism, Russian formalism and French formalism. So, Russian formalism, it also has another name, that is Russian Roscoe formalism. Okay. So, it was actually begun in two groups, that is OPOYAZ. It is an acronym for Russian word. So, it is an acronym for Russian word. Okay. Just they are giving what it means. Okay, they are not giving the word, but they are giving the meaning. Okay, Society for the Study of Poetic Language. So in order to study the poetic language, they will have a society. So that is what the meaning of that acronym. So which was founded in 1960 at St. Petersburg, and who led that society? It was led by Viktor Slavsky. And the Moscow Linguistic Circle, which was founded in 1915. Okay, that is, we have already be familiar with coffee houses and all. So what coffee houses meant for? The famous writers will have a get together there, or they will meet regularly, and they will spend their time by having a conversation regarding their work, regarding their upcoming works, or they will have a discussion regarding literature. Okay, likewise, this Moscow Linguistic Circle also helps the writers to communicate with the other writers. Okay, so it was founded in 1915. Stressed the importance of form and technique over content, and looked for the specificity of literature as an autonomous verbal art. So they have given importance to form and technique rather than content. So they have given importance to form and technique, and then they have looked for the specificity of literature. So there should be some specificity. If we take eco-literature should stand for some specific reason. Then only we will name that literature as eco-literature. So they are looking for the specificity of literature. And then disagreed about what specific elements make a literary work good or bad. So we read a text or we read a work. So we will categorize that work into whether it is good work, whether it will be categorized into good work, or it will be categorized to a bad work category. Okay. So in order to do so, we have to consider some elements. Only then we can put it under good category, or else we will put it under bad category. Okay, so there will be some specific elements. So they have disagreed with all those specific elements. Russian formalism. So in Russian formalism, we have some important writers: Viktor Slavsky, Roman Jakobson, Victor Ehrlich. Russian formalism. So he is noted for Russian formalism. that is, he has written a history, that is a doctrine, in 1955. And then Yuri Chono. So they are all famous writers for, that is famous critics for Russian formalism. And the new criticism, John Crow Ransom. I have already told new criticism was named after John Crow. So he had written a work titled The New Criticism, which was published in 1938. And then we have seen some of the critics already. Iyer Richards, William Emerson, T.S. Eliot, Alan Tate, Cullen Brooks. Okay, so they were all the prominent writers, prominent critics. Not merely about formal elements of literature. So only the title is formalism, but they will not consider only the formal elements alone. Okay, emerged as a reaction against the methods of literary scholarship of the late 19th and earlier 20th century. So it has raised as an opposition against the literary scholarship which was provided during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Rejected the study of literature's background, its external conditions, its social and national tasks, and the psychology and biography of the author. So they are all not giving importance to the author's background or literature's background and the external conditions, and what are all the socio and economic conditions, and what is the biography of the author, or what on what mentality the author had written that particular book. So they are all the critics are not giving importance to these parts. Defamiliarization, that is, formalism is nothing but defamiliarization. Form and content are inseparable and that they constitute one unity. So this one, form and content, we cannot separate these two. Okay, they are all dependent on each other. So they as a whole, they constitute an unity, one unity. Device transforms material into an artistically shaped literary work of art. So this formalism will totally convert a material into a beautifully work of art. Okay. Wojcicki's Forma Zivkova Prosy Polski I Wizja Poziko. It is a work that means sound form of Polish prose and verse, which was published in 1912, and Chinianivos Problema Stikovornago Yazgia, which was published in 1924. That means the problem of verse language. So these two works. So we have seen two examples or two works for new criticism. So these two are famous examples for this formalism. Okay, the outbreak of World War II, however, finally suppressed the activity of the Polish formalists and cis structuralists. So we all know that what is the outbreak of the World War II. So as a result of that World War II, they have suppressed the activities of the Polish formalists and cis structuralists. The formal properties. So what are all the properties? So what should they do? Words. They will analyze the meaning of the word, and they will analyze the shape or structure of the text, harmony of the words, the rhythm of the sentences, rhyming of the words, meaning of the text as a whole. In new criticism, they will not consider the text as a whole, but they will do close reading. But in formalism, they will consider the meaning of the text as a whole. So what are all the properties which will not be included? Time of the work, I have already told, they will not consider the time, background of the work, representation of the work, the symbolism of the words, author's moral, religious or political values, author's personal life. So just in simple words, just they will concentrate only on the work. They will not consider any other external parts which are apart from the original text. That is what formalism is. I hope you are all clear with new criticism and formalism. Okay, thank you.